Hello, hello, hello. Here we are. It's been a week. Since the last stream, since the last post outside of the community posts, which I like to see you guys are liking those. I have fun making them. I got a little bit of downtime here and there. Ooh, my mic is up a little higher. I've had a little bit of time here and there while I'm at work to do a little bit of those. I'm glad you guys are liking those. The one today was that one I think that the one from today was excuse me, I just had dinner. The one from today was what are you guys most excited for in the DCU? Right? Wasn't it that? What do you guys most want to see from the DCU? Out of yeah. Which one of these are you more excited for? Paradise Lost, Creature Commandos, The Authority, and Booster Gold took it in a landslide, 60% so far, 43 votes. I gotta admit, the one that I'm most excited, I'm probably most excited for Booster Gold of myself. That The Authority though, The Authority, I gotta say, that's a really cool team as The Authority. So like, give me a second here. I went ahead, excuse me, and picked up myself Volume 1 of Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch, their first volume of The Authority. I read through this about a month ago. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. So, considering this is the same artwork that James Gunn showed off in his pitch, I assume these are the stories he's going to be adapting. How's it going, Parker? I assume that these are the stories he's going to be adapting, James Gunn that is, for his DCU. So although this one was the least voted for out of the entire poll today, this is the one I'm really most excited for, probably other than Booster Gold. Right now we're just talking about the community post from today. I came up with that one yesterday while I was at work. I came up with it yesterday at work. It's funny when I say at work because I work here. I work in this desk. I sit in this desk for hours and hours. So, I mean, it's weird to say I thought of it at work when I thought of it right here. But I'm sitting here thinking, like, what would be a good post? Oh, what about, like, 4 of the, like, not as popular DCU announcements? So I feel like the most popular ones have been, like, obviously Superman Legacy has been really popular. I feel like Batman Brave and the Bold has been really popular. Swamp Thing, Supergirl. I feel like those announcements that James Gunn made were really very popular, but what about these like lesser known or like less popular content that he's coming up with? It's like the Paradise Lost show, the Creature Commandos show, the Authority movie, the Booster Gold show movie, I forget. But like which project like that's lesser known to the vast majority of superhero movie fans, or are you guys more excited for? And let's see here. And that's the results from today up to now. 43 votes and Booster Gold taking it in a landslide. So, I mean, I know I don't really talk about these a whole ton, but this was one that, sorry if that was really loud, but this was one that I was very excited to see what you guys thought, and I figured Booster Gold will probably walk away with the win, but kind of a surprise Creature Commandos got as much as it did. I thought the Authority would get a little bit more. I'm surprised that one kind of came last. But either way, it's not too terribly important. I don't know. But I love making those. I'm glad you guys seem to like voting on them. Oh, it looks like yesterday's the who was casted worst between Lex Luthor. Oh, wait a second here. Who was casted worst between Lex Luthor, Joker, and Venom? Looks like Joker is starting to. I guess you don't know if you can see my cursor there, but looks like Joker's starting to catch up a little bit. Lex has been walking away with this one, but Joker seems to be catching up. I feel like Joker was a bit lower earlier today. And then, yeah, best comic book trilogy. I promise I won't go any further than this one. Dark Knight. Walking away with this one, clearly. But this one had a good argument. Is it better, and this is using The Dark Knight and Guardians of the Galaxy as examples here. No wonder my lighting's bad. I don't have my light on. There we go. Oh, that's a lot better. So, rookie move. Is it better to have the best individual movie, like The Dark Knight does? The Dark Knight's arguably the greatest superhero movie ever made. Is it better to have the higher peak, but the lower valleys, or to have a steady greatness? Not one movie is better than another, but not any one are particularly like phenomenal. And that's the argument that I've kind of been battling with myself with, and I want to lean towards one of the answers. And that is essentially, do you go with The Dark Knight because it has the highest peak and still solid other movies? Or do you go the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy because all three are equally phenomenal? Like, which one do you do? It's like all three Guardians films are great. Solid 8 or 9 out of 10. They're great. Dark Knight, 8 out of 10 first movie, 10 out of 10 second movie, 11 out of 10 second movie. But like a 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10 finale. It's like, it's pretty varied. But Guardians is steadily great. If not, it steadily gets better as the movies go on. So it's like, what do you prefer? And a lot of people seem to prefer, obviously, The Dark Knight by the poll. But Guardians has despite the voting discrepancy, there's a little bit of numbers game going on here. We have 61% to 19%, but think about it, this could very well be 59% to 21%. And that's a lot. That sounds a lot closer, you know, like 59% to 20%. That sounds a lot closer, even though it isn't. No, isn't a lot closer. It's technically closer by what, 3%, 1% on the Guardians, 2% on Dark Knight, whatever. Technically, it is 3% closer, but it sounds a lot closer than 3% when you say it like that. A little bit of numbers game going on here, but that's the argument. That's a good argument right there. So, anyways, why don't we go ahead, hop into our little. Let me go and turn the music down just a little bit. Why don't we go ahead and hop right into our universe? So, I'm zooming a bit. How does that look for you guys? A little bit easier to read now? I'm moving my microphone back a little bit so that way I can have access to the keyboard. There we go. So, what notes did we leave for ourselves last time? From last stream. So, the ideas that I had were the character of Chaos, which we ended with, which you see on the screen right now, is that this character is responsible for the neutron star explosion. This is what we came up with. This character
is the personification of chaos, and Earth, before the explosion, was about to obtain peace where chaos steps in, causing all of the characters to gain powers and challenge the idea of peace. So, chaos essentially steps in and says, okay, peace is about to be attained. I don't want peace. Let's go ahead and blow up this star because through chaos, all of our characters are going to gain superpowers. And this is going to cause a power dynamic, which is going to introduce essentially this massive monkey wrench that creates this whole universe. That's effectively what I pitched as an idea. And so the only other notes I have here were the neutron star explosion turns these metaphysical or supernatural beings into personified physical versions of themselves. So this essentially means that we had in our lineup right now, the personification of death and the personification of chaos. So naturally, with the pitch that I gave, we would also have the personification of peace and any other metaphysical ideologies, concepts would have the opportunity to become physical forms of themselves. And this is also due to the neutron star explosion. So that's my ideas. And the other idea was actually in our a poll that I had from last week, which is right here. And that is, what type of rules should we base our time travel in-universe time travel off of, using movies as examples? I am not gonna lie, I am so shocked that Back to the Future got 0 votes. I thought for sure Back to the Future was gonna get a vote. I don't care which way it goes, I just wanted to hear what you guys thought. So, from last week, this is what we came up with, and that was either with Bill and Ted, within the Bill and Ted Excellent Adventure movie, which if you haven't seen it, please watch it. It is a really, really fun movie. It's Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter. It's 89, I want to say 1989 when that movie came out. Essentially, these two lovable morons get a time machine and they need to ace their history final, or else one of the two gets shipped off to a boarding school in Alaska, a military school in Alaska, and their friendship is ruined. So that's what they have to do. So they end up getting themselves a time machine, and they find political figures and like all these historical figures, and they bring them back to the present to do their history final. It's really, really it's just a very fun movie. But in that movie, they explained that, you know, you have to be careful because for the present always continues. When you go back in time, the present doesn't just stop. They show this by the characters coming back to what they thought was the present, but it was actually the night before. So when they come back, the present had moved. So I thought this would be a good one to pitch as an idea, because this would mean that although Chrono Warden, our time traveling hero, could go back in time, he can't just go back in time to come back to when he left. It would just be a big ol' mess at that point. You have to be careful about time traveling because the present doesn't just stop. And so it gives the force of nature its dues, so to speak, and it doesn't make the time traveling too overpowered in that way. The other two, obviously, Back to the Future, where it's pretty what you think of when you think of time travel. Go back in time, butterfly effect, things are going to change, you know, but I thought it'd be smart to have a limit on how far he would travel, so he'd only go back like maybe a couple of days at most. And then lastly, the overwhelming favorite, Endgame, with the idea of when you go back in time, it creates an alternate timeline. So let's see how this could work. Because I don't know if we want to directly rip the time travel rules from Endgame and place them in our universe. Because every time this character time travels, are we just going to open up another pocket dimension in this universe? Like, if a character dies and we don't want this character to die, do we just go back and find this other pocket timeline that exists because Chrono Warden just created like a Nexus event every like act of every movie? That's the thing with time travel, guys. Time travel is a very finicky power. So we can stick with that. Let's go in and just stick with the idea of time travel creates alternate timelines. I actually just realized something. Let me see if I can check on something here. Inspector Gadget. Inspector Gadget. I don't know why it's on my head. Inspector Gadget. Oh, righty then. We're not gaming. I don't know why it says we're gaming. Because we're not gaming. There we go. There's that. And does Twitch know we're not gaming? I don't know if Twitch knows we're not gaming. Yeah, Twitch knows. Okay, good. I want to make sure that Twitch and YouTube knew that we were not gaming right now. So, why don't we see if we can't come up with a movie? So, this is also for me because I haven't looked at this since last week. Let's take a look at our characters. So our heroes, we have Spectre Surge, whose name is Einar Magnusson, Phoenix Guardian, Amina Farouk, Chrono Warden, Hakuri Nakamura, Aerosylph, Isabella Silva, Psionic Oracle, Alex Reed. And so with these characters, because we also came up with more information on each of them earlier. So Aerosylph, that's right, we're having issues with Aerosylph because it's like, oh, this person's afraid of heights. So this person ended up being like a base jumper. Oh, excuse me. So Aerosylph is now an environmental scientist conducting research on the ecological impact of neutron star explosion. She encountered an unusual atmospheric phenomenon leading to her gaining her power to manipulate air currents. This aligns with her fear fights without directly involving her activities that trigger the fear. Alright, and so here's our basics of each of our main heroes. We have Spectre Surge, who's 28. Einar Magnusson, a male, who's an astrophysicist. Phoenix Guardian, who's a female, who's an archaeologist, who gets like fire powers. Chrono Warden, who is a temporal physicist, so a physicist on time, becoming a time-traveling superhero. Aerosylph, who it says here is she was a base jumper, but environmental scientist. And then Alex Reed, a neuroscientist, was exposed to unique energy patterns, which resulted from the neutron star explosion during the lab accident. So there's that. We also have all of our villains who's here. We have Shadow Maven's group, who is the villain set for Spectre Surge. Inferno Tyrant's group, who's the villain for Phoenix Guardian. These characters have... Oh, so Shadow Maven's group, they have all the same powers, but different personalities, motives, MOs, so they all operate differently with the same powers. Infernal Tyrants group are all elementally based. Cyclone Marauder are all technologically based, so they actually weren't even affected by the neutron star explosion to begin with. Mind Paragon's group is Psionic Oracle's villains, who are all like, one is unbelievably intelligent. The other four are essentially like Charles Xavier, who are smart, very, very smart, but are more like mental powers with like telekinesis and telepathy and things like that. And then finally Chrono Warden. Don't worry about Phoenix Guardians updated group. We have like the actual individual characters here. But you have Chrono Warden's updated team here, who's honestly got the coolest villains out of everybody, in my personal opinion. Like, the other concepts are great and they work, but Chrono Warden, I think, has become my personal favorite out of all the characters here. Because you have the villains being the personification of death. Awesome idea. And with that, you have a servant or a herald of death, and that is the Temporal Enchantress, who controls lifespans under death's influence. With that, you have Spatial Warlock, who is a spatial manipulator, controlling the fabric of space, a Molecular Sculptor, who is a matter manipulator, and Dr. Imperfect, who is a shape-shifting enigma. Because the idea was all the villains have their powers based off their greatest traits. So, like, the backstory we came up for Dr. Imperfect was that this was somebody, we don't know anything about the original identity of Dr. Imperfect. Could be male, could be female, this person could be old, this person could be young. We don't know anything about where Dr. Imperfect came from. So with Dr. Imperfect, you have somebody who, with their shape-shifting abilities, essentially was somebody who, growing up, wherever this person grew up, had low self-esteem, low self-image, hated themselves, and felt like the only way to be better was to essentially learn to be somebody else. So impressions became a talent that was quickly, developed. So learning how to impersonate other people, learning how to act, things like that. And then suddenly with the neutron star explosion, the idea of manipulation and deception and acting became so prevalent that this became the skill that then creates the power. So because this person leaned hard into their insecurity, their power now reflects their insecurity because it's their greatest skill. So Dr. Imperfect is now a shapeshifter. And then finally have Phoenix Guardian, who is also Inferno Tyrant's group. So Phoenix Guardian's the hero, that's the villain group. So here is the villains. You have Frost Monarch, Terra Blaze, Aqua Scorch, Zephyr Crystal, Flora Inferno. For those of you who are wondering who the hell are all these characters, like why the hell are all these like characters who control ice and cold have the word, earth and stone have the word blaze in it, why? But water has Scorch, and plant life has the name Inferno, because ChatGPT is really lazy. And originally Phoenix Guardian, our fire-based hero, had her powers, had her powers as fire because that's her greatest fear in the story. So naturally, ChatGPT doesn't know how to create a bunch of unique powers if you give it too many people to commit, too many characters to make it once. So all the villains had like the exact same powers as their heroes. And so all Phoenix Guardian's villains were all fire powers. So we have like 6 characters that are all based on the power of fire, and it's like, that's not as fun. So we went through like all of the rest of that stream and all of last stream figuring out who the hell everybody is. It took 2 full streams, like 6 hours, to figure out who the hell everybody is. And so this is what we have right here. This is a more updated sort of list. And so here is our mastermind, our Thanos, if you will, as the embodiment of chaos. So I think it's about time we come up with our first movie. And so let's think about how we want to phrase this. So who should get the first movie? Because I want to handle this one at a time. I think because the MCU had Iron Man, Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, and Captain America before getting to the Avengers. So you have 4 heroes, one gets a sequel. If we drop the idea of one of the characters getting a sequel before the first team-up movie and everybody gets one, we still have 6 movies including the first team-up. So why don't we have one of our heroes get the first movie? Do we just go with Chrono Warden? I feel like Chrono Warden has like the most that we can like dive into, like the coolest villains and all of that. I genuinely feel like Chrono Warden might be the best way to start with this. That's how I feel. Because essentially all the first movies are going to take place around the same time, because all of the characters are from around the world. So all of these first movies can actually take place at the same time. So why don't we do it like that? So all of these 5 characters are going to get one movie each, and then we'll have a team-up movie. In universe, all 5 of these characters, their origin stories are all going to have at the same time because they all get their powers due to the same reasons. And so by the time they all are ready for their second movie, it's already a team-up. And us as fans, if this universe were to exist in real life and we were to be watching these movies, we'd probably have about 4 to 6 years of watching movies all take place around the same time in their universe. So let's go ahead and let's do Chrono Warden first. I feel like we know the most about Chrono Warden and that group of villains. So I gotta turn off my dark mode. Make our first movie, and let's have it based on Chrono Warden, and let's have it be about Chrono Warden and his group of villains. I want an extremely detailed synopsis of the movie, going over how... Oh, really quickly, that's actually, I'm going to cut this, and I'm going to apply, let's have Chrono Warden time travel powers be based upon the rules set in Avengers Endgame, where going back in time doesn't change the past, but instead creates an alternative timeline branching off from the original, from the alternative timeline that branches away. branched off of the but instead creates an alternative timeline that's branched off of what would have been. But Chrono Warden is able to still return to his original presence slash timeline. Similar to the heroes in Avengers Endgame. Alright. Time travel rules. So here's what ChatGPT gave us for time traveling rules for Chrono Warden. Going back in time creates alternative timelines, branching off from the original. Changes in the past don't alter the original timeline, but create separate branches. Chrono Warden has the ability to traverse these timelines and can return to the original timeline, avoiding paradoxes. Easy. That's the rules. We're essentially ripping Avengers Endgame. That's effectively what we do here. So, there is Chrono Warden. It's from the poll from last week. You guys got to pick the rules, or the movie that the rules would be based off of. And there they are. Endgame. We got Endgame's time travel rules for Chrono Warden. I like this one personally, just because it doesn't allow paradoxes. He can't go back in time to kill his grandfather so that he's never born. Like, to go back in time to kill his grandfather. Like, that can't exist. You can't go back in time and find baby Thanos and, like, you can't do that, you know? Or what? How does he do it? He's like, that, you know? Which, it's horrible. It's Thanos. Anyways. Those are now the rules. We've got time travel rules. Now, let's go ahead and get the movie written. Like, our first movie is based on Chrono Warden and his group of villains. I want an extremely... I shouldn't capitalize this. Extremely detailed synopsis going over how Chrono Warden and each of the villains discover and develop their newfound abilities while keeping to all of the newest information, newest info discussed, newest info about each and every one of them. Should we have villains die right away? We have 25 villains, guys. Like, that's a lot. Such as Chrono Warden's fear of losing loved ones and facing off against death and each of the other villains. Heroes don't kill. It doesn't mean that villains don't die. Batman Begins, my friend. Batman Begins. Ra's al Ghul or Ducard does die. Liam Neeson dies, but according to Batman, he didn't kill him. So, there's that too. You gotta keep that in mind. How's it going, by the way? all we've done so far is set the rules for time travel in this universe. And so far, you can see them on the screen, we essentially ripped Endgame. And those are now our rules. So, that was discussed here. Last night, from last week, we had our last stream, and one of the questions coming out of the stream was, how are we going to handle time travel? And this is the poll I put out, and overwhelmingly, creating alternate timelines won. So, Endgame became the movie that our time travel is going to be based off of. So, yeah, let's keep our villains alive. Also, no major character deaths. So here's the prompt. Let's see how this sounds before we submit it. Let's make our first movie and have it be about Chrono Warden and his group of villains. I think a better example would be Spider-Man, Green Goblin. That's another good one right there. That's actually another great one right there. It's comeuppance. It's okay if the villain dies due to comeuppance, unless the heroes, like, it's totally okay for them in the writing to kill, like Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman is totally okay with killing people. Doesn't matter any of the interpretations. And yet she's still one of the coolest heroes ever. Anyway, let's make our first movie and let's have it based on Chrono Warden and his group of villains. I want an extremely detailed synopsis of the movie going over how Chrono Warden and each of the villains. Who's Wonder Woman? Are you serious? The Amazonian princess of Themyscira, who's played by Gal Gadot, or was played by Gal Gadot. I wonder who that is. Yeah. And so, these villains discover and develop their newfound abilities while keeping to the newest info about each and every one of them, such as Chrono Warden's fear of losing loved ones and facing off against death in each of the other villains. Each of the other villains. Also, no major character deaths. That's the first prompt I have to see what ChatGPT gives in terms of a movie. In terms, like, this is our first attempt at making a movie. So, let's see what we get for our first movie. It's been a long and it's a lot of work going into this up to this point. Let's finally get our first. Ooh, we should also get a title. Don't forget the movie title. What else should we get? No, I think title and just title. Let's just get the title. Don't forget the movie title. All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Here we go. And I'm gonna scroll up just so that way I can come down here. So, what's your position on Netflix's live-action Avatar coming up? Okay. Live-action Avatar by Netflix. In short, I'm hesitantly optimistic. It's really exciting to see Avatar done in live action for the very, very first time. It is. I'm excited to see Avatar finally done in live action, because it's something that I've been wanting since forever, is to see Avatar in live action, because it's never happened before. And I just read a post that, and on the surface, in today's society, I understand that society wants to remove this, but I personally believe it should not have been removed. it has been confirmed, I believe it was confirmed, that for those of you who've never seen Avatar, which that's actually what my shirt is based off of, is Avatar, is that in the very first season, in the very beginning of Avatar, the character Sokka is sexist. Very sexist, especially for a kid's show. And it's because of his sexism. He goes off on his sister, says that men are better at fighting and hunting and all those things, and girls are better at sewing and all the motherly stuff. He quite literally says that to her, just by themselves. That's what he believes in. This angers Katara because Katara is stronger than Sokka is in a lot of ways, especially within bending. And so Katara then gets angry, and her bending, because she's untrained, because of elements of the story, causes a lot of damage to nearby icebergs, which then reveal Aang. Right here, right on that poster. That's what reveals him. So you can say in the animated show, if Sokka wasn't sexist, then the world would have been doomed. I'm not trying to say anything here, but in the show, sexism does bring our hero into the story. You don't like to think about it, but that does happen. The live-action adaptation by Netflix has been stated that the sexism for Sokka has been removed. Which means that they're adapting it for today's audiences. I'm clipping that out of context. Okay. How you doing, Addy Rex? How you doing today? You can, I mean, it's just as long as you acknowledge that it's out of context. But the live-action Avatar has been stated to have removed the sexism for Sokka, which that is also a big part of his character arc, is that he, realizes that viewpoint that he had at the beginning of the show was completely wrong. How are your heroes going to grow? Exactly. It's called an arc. And the best part is, imagine starting so low that you have a teenage male sexist character. Grow out of that. Isn't that what we want to teach? We want to have society no longer be racist and sexist and things like that. Why not show a character grow out of that? Have a hero be sexist in the beginning, kind of be a little despicable, and then be lovable by the end. Do you know who else was despicable in the beginning of Avatar and is loved by the end? This one guy named Zuko, who was kind of a dick throughout the entire show, and then halfway through season 3 joins the heroes and is arguably the greatest character in the entire show. Exactly. They could do so. What's the point of the Kyoshi Warriors? This is why I say what I'm hesitantly optimistic about the live-action Avatar. But here's the thing. No matter what happens, with this Netflix Avatar, this will always exist. It always will. And you know what? This here is a goddamn masterpiece. And so, with that in mind, Netflix's Avatar can never remove what this here is. This will always exist. If Netflix's Avatar is as good as Netflix's One Piece, which I was never a One Piece fan. I've never seen an episode of One Piece. I actually thought the character was pronounced Luffy for the entire time. I never knew it was Luffy. That's how little I knew about One Piece. But according to their fans, the Netflix's live-action One Piece was actually really damn good. If that's any sign, then hopefully Avatar is good too. Good, you have the complete series too? Yeah, I have it. I want to also get the thing on vinyl. I got my record collection kind of right here behind me, and I would love to get a soundtrack on vinyl if that exists. And not to save a little bit of money, but yes, they did One Piece justice. Okay, I'm not a One Piece fan. I'm afraid if I get into that show, I'm gonna be sucked in and watch like 1,100 episodes, and that's just gonna dominate my life for the next couple of years, and I don't want to do that. So I'm hoping that it does Avatar justice. It doesn't have to be as good as the cartoon. If it brings an angle to the show, 1,100 episodes, yeah, I've been there, done that. It's not a problem for me, but we're in an age where certain topics are sensitive. Stupid because that sensitive topic was nearly 2 decades ago. Don't tell me how old I am, man. Don't. I watched that show when it came out originally. Like, don't. Also, you can see a little ang I have in my... Right there. I have an ang right there. And I have another ang right there. I have an ang right there, too. But yeah, Avatar came out 19 years ago, guys. When did we become 20-year-olds? For you, 4 years ago. For me, 5 years ago. But anyway, let's actually read ourselves. We can talk about Avatar in a little bit. Let's just take a quick break from Avatar and talk about what the stream is supposed to be about, and that's this. You know, Yu Yu Hakusho. Here we go. Our first movie. Let's see how well ChatGPT did this. The first title, Temporal Nexus: Echoes of Destiny, is the first movie. Synopsis. In the aftermath of the neutron star explosion, Tokyo bears witness to a surreal event, creating a cosmic rift in time. Former temporal physicist Haruki Nakamura, known as the Chrono Warden, finds himself at the epicenter of this temporal upheaval. Simultaneously, across the globe, a group of powerful villains begins to awaken their newfound abilities. Why is that such a good title? You know what? I kind of like that it's not just like superhero name subtitle or superhero name 1, superhero name 2. I kind of like that it's like this like completely original title. I do like that. Let's hope there's more of the description here. We have a fucking prologue to this shit? Okay, let's do this. Yeah, let's do it. Okay, prologue. Let's get into the weeds with this shit. Okay, prologue. This movie begins with a breathtaking display of the neutron star explosion. Echoing across the world in Tokyo, Haruki Nakamura, fearing the loss of loved ones, is engulfed in the radiant waves. Meanwhile, 5 distinct villains, unbeknownst to each other, experience the surge of energy, making the beginning of their extraordinary journeys. Chrono Warden's awakening. Haruki discovers his time-manipulating abilities during a confrontation with temporal anomalies caused by the neutron star explosion. Haunted by visions of losing loved ones, he grapples with the moral implications of manipulating time. The villain's awakenings. Now, Chrono Warden has, in my opinion, the coolest villains of any of our heroes. And that's because we spent the most time on Chrono Warden's villains. And so let's go ahead and see what happens with each of these 5 villains that we have for Chrono Warden. The Temporal Enchantress. Initially an ordinary person, she inadvertently becomes entangled with death, gaining the ability to control lifespans. So she can age and de-age anything. But she's limited to only being able to work within the present. So she can change the age of something while staying in the present. So it is and isn't time travel. It's like time manipulation rather than time travel. Age manipulation, if you will. Then you have the personification of death itself, a cosmic entity drawn to the temporal chaos, gaining influence over life and death. Honestly, feels a little, 2 + 2 = 4 because of the way it is kind of situation where it's like, yeah, we kind of guess the personification of death should, you know, have power over life and death like that. Like, okay, that kind of makes sense, but you didn't really give us any more information here. 2 + 2 = 1 + 3 kind of situation. It's like, okay, fine. Spatial Warlock. A scientist studying the effects of the neutron star explosion granted spatial manipulation abilities, creating tears in the fabric of space. Dr. Imperfect, the one chat-created character. An individual with low self-esteem gains the power of shapeshifting, allowing them to create a facade of perfection. And finally, the Molecular Sculptor, an artist exposed to the neutron star's energies, gains the power to manipulate matter at the molecular level, creating intricate and dangerous sculptures. So all the villains are based off the idea of change. The Gathering Storm. This shit is good. Or to quote Deadpool, this shit's gonna have nuts in it. Alright, let's see here. As Chrono Warden starts understanding his powers, the villains unknowingly converge on Tokyo. Drawn by the temporal anomalies, Haruki learns... I'm gonna scroll down. Okay, that arrow doesn't go off. As Chrono Warden starts understanding his powers, the villains unknowingly converge on Tokyo. Drawn by the temporal anomalies, Haruki learns about the existence of the villains and their unique abilities, realizing the potential danger they pose to the fabric of reality. Hey, yo, ChatGPT popping off. I agree. Very good. It is, it is very good. Confrontation with death. Chrono Warden faces death. Realizing the entity seeks to maintain a balance between life and death, the confrontation challenges Haruki's perspective on the consequences of manipulating time. Unveiling the villains. The villains' motives and powers are gradually revealed. Temporal Enchantress serves death. Spatial Warlock disrupts space. Dr. Perfect infiltrates society. And Molecular Sculptor creates chaotic matter constructs. So Death wants to keep balance. Essentially, yeah. It's like, Death is effectively the Grim Reaper. I think, here, I got an idea. Why does he sound like more like a hero? Thanos wants to keep balance. He was a villain. Here's the thing. What if Death is low-key kind of like the Grim Reaper reporting to a 9-to-5? Like, imagine the Grim Reaper having to clock in to like take souls to the underworld. Ugh. You know what? I'm sorry, you died. I gotta take you. If I don't, it's just a lot of paperwork on my end. Betty White was a nightmare for me until she finally decided to come with. I'm sorry, you gotta come. Like, I can't even be sorry anymore. Like, you just gotta come, or else it's on my ass. You know, like, imagine the Grim Reaper like that. He's Okay, so Thanos wanted to kill everyone. Thanos wanted to kill half. Unbiased, unprejudiced, he wanted to kill half of humanity. And I'm sure that he even took himself into account when he snapped. That's one of my favorite characters, Azrael, merged with the Grim Reaper. Okay. Like the idea of the Grim Reaper clocking into a 9-to-5. I would just love to see that as like a sitcom. Comics Thanos wanted to kill everyone. That is true. Comics Thanos did want to do that. He wanted to impress Lady Death. Thanos was horny. You know, yes, you are correct. Comics Thanos was just horny. The Temporal Nexus. Haruki discovers the temporal anomalies are converging towards a central point. Of course, because we need to get to a climax, right? Forming a nexus that threatens to unravel reality. The villains, unknowingly guided by chaos. Did Nebula defeat Thanos? Nebula didn't she? In comics? In the comics, I think she did. In the MCU, she was a part of this small team that goes out to, as Nebula put it, the farm. And, or the garden. Sorry, the garden is what she called it in Endgame. And she was part of that small team that did kill Thanos there. Technically, Thor got the killing blow. But it was Tony who ultimately killed Thanos in Endgame, like the 2014 version of Thanos. So in the comics, I think she did. I think that Nebula did have a hand in killing Thanos in the comics, or at least in one of the stories. I'd have to get the Infinity Gauntlet storyline. So yeah, right here we're getting Chaos. Our Thanos, the embodiment of chaos, is our Thanos. The villains unknowingly are guided by chaos to this as well. So yeah, that's what's happening here. Climactic battle. Chrono Warden, driven by the fear of losing loved ones, confronts the villains and death at the temporal nexus. The battle ensues across multiple timelines, with each villain using their unique abilities. Don't know how Doctor Imperfect is going to fit in here. Shapeshifting, it's like Mystique is a really good character because Doctor Imperfect is effectively based off of a version of Mystique when you think about it. There's a lot going on here. I don't know how, like, in a fist fight. Well, to be fair, like, time travel doesn't necessarily mean like super strength or speed or anything like that, but interesting. Resolution. Hakuri, facing the ultimate test, finds a way to seal the temporal nexus, preventing a catastrophic collapse of reality. The villains, realizing the consequences of their actions, disband, leaving the timeline intact. Aftermath. Chrono Warden, now experienced and understanding of the delicate nature of time, reflects on the events. The villains, scattered across timelines, set the stage for future confrontations. Okay, so the villains are actually scattered across timelines. I don't know how I feel about that, because here's the one thing when it comes to time travel, is you gotta keep track of everything. If everything's on one timeline, it's much easier to keep track of what's going on. But with scattered timelines, like, it's like, oh, they're all gone and they can't come back, so the only way that these characters are coming back is if Chrono Warden fucks up. You know, it's like, okay, was that awesome? It is a cool ass movie. I'm not gonna lie. It's, you know, because here's the thing about this movie. It's a lot better than, you know, some other time traveling superhero movies. You know, time travel superhero movies that, you know, it's a lot better than some time traveling superhero movies that come out, you know. It's a lot better than some of them. So, I mean, it has been voted by you guys. Which recent bad superhero movie had the most potential? You guys voted yourself. 141 votes. Flash, runaway favorite for what could have been. You know? For the record, I don't know what the other one was. But, yeah. You guys voted right here. The Flash. What could have been. Didn't see it? All jokes aside, the Flash movie, all jokes aside, the Flash movie is fine. It's not great. For the money that the budget was, for the ideas that were present in the movie, it did not live up to the expectations. For how long the movie was in production, all of that, Flash was entertaining, yes. But, yeah. Oh, we have an end credit scene! Shit! Okay. In a hidden chamber, Chaos observes the aftermath, revealing that this was just the beginning of a grander plan. Oh, a temporal nexus, Exos of Destiny, explores the intricate dance between time, fear, and the consequences of wielding extraordinary powers. The movie sets the stage for the larger cinematic universe, teasing the overarching threat of chaos. Oh shit, I just realized I'm on... Sorry. There's an end credit scene. I stopped after Aftermath. There's a fucking end credit scene in this thing. Holy cow. Sorry, I just realized I wasn't even on the right screen. Like, this is just nuts. So, messages with great power comes great responsibility. Isn't that every superhero movie? Like, every superhero movie is just Spider-Man, isn't it? All of them. Like, it doesn't matter if you watch Daredevil, it doesn't matter if you watch Suicide Squad or Spider-Man, or Spider-Man is obviously in there, or Batman, Superman, Blue Beetle, Eternals. It don't fucking matter. With great power comes great responsibility. But there we go. That's our first movie. I loved that kind of layout. It kind of goes through bits and pieces here. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to copy. I really liked the way this kind of... I actually liked Blue Beetle. Thank you! Sorry, that was probably really loud. Thank you! Blue Beetle is amazing! Oh my god, Blue Beetle was phenomenal. I love Blue Beetle. It's probably my 6th favorite DCEU movie. I don't know if I have it in my top 5, but it's definitely right there at 6. There's 16 DCEU movies. Like, to me, it's like, it has to be better than Zack Snyder's Justice League, Wonder Woman, or it has to be amongst Zack Snyder's Justice League, Wonder Woman, Man of Steel, The Suicide Squad, and probably Aquaman. That's probably my top 5. And I'd have Blue Beetle just outside as a very close number 6. It was great. I loved it. It was so good. Actually, I have this too. I kind of can see it, sort of, in my cabinet back here. You get these from GameStop. But this is a Blue Beetle box here. And you open it up. I have the Scarab. I have the Scarab. I'm a big ass fucking nerd is what I am. Like, this thing is metal. And it's magnetic, by the way, like, magnetic. So, we doing an ASMR channel. Man of Steel, Snyder Cut, Wonder Woman, Blue Beetle, Dawn of Justice. I'm gonna need to see that next time we go up there. It's right up here. There it is. That's my Beetle. I'm gonna go put it back. This cabinet's got a lot of cool shit in it. Well, let's go ahead and copy and paste. I loved this prompt. I love what the prompt gave. Let's go ahead and copy paste it back in here. And here's what we're going to do. Let's pick the next hero. Let's just work ourselves down the line this time. So we just did Chrono Warden. Let's just start from the top and work our way down. At the end of the stream, let's hope to get 5 movies, or at least each of our phase 1. Each character gets 1 movie. In universe, each movie takes place at the same time, because if it's all going to be origin stories of unique original heroes, we're going to want to know where they came from. So origins are going to be a must. And since they all have the same origin, essentially, or the same cause of getting their power, then all their first movies should happen about the same time. So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to copy paste the prompt because this prompt did a great job in getting us a lot of information on this first movie. So let's do Spectra Surge. So all of Chrono Warden is now going to say Spectra Surge. And yeah, Spectra Surge is a male, so his group of villains. I want an extremely detailed synopsis of the movie going over how Spectra Surge and each of the villains discover and develop their newfound abilities while keeping to all the newest info about each of every one of them, such as Spectra Surges. I'd love to see an animated thing of this. I would too. Have to figure out how to do it. And find an AI that can animate this. That'd be really cool. Fear of... I want to say it was claustrophobia. Was it claustrophobia? Yeah, claustrophobia. Is that how you spell claustrophobia? Nope. And facing off against death and facing off against each of the villains. Also, no major character deaths. Don't forget the movie title. And let's have this movie take place at the same time in universe as Chrono Warden's movie. Though the plots don't connect to each other. So let's make our first movie, and let's just have this be next movie, and let's have it be about Spectra Surge and his group of villains. I want an extremely detailed synopsis of this movie going over how Spectra Surge and each of the villains discovered and developed their newfound abilities while keeping to all of the newest info about each and every one of them, such as Spectra Surge's fear of claustrophobia and facing off against each of the villains. Also, no major character deaths. Don't forget the movie title, and let's have this movie take place at the same time in universe as Chrono Warden's movie, though the plots don't connect to each other. Okay, I think this is a great prompt. Let's throw it out and see what comes back. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to scroll up just a little bit so that way we don't follow it down. We can go down at our own pace, and we can kind of discover everything all at the same time. And oh, I can't wait to read this. I think it's done by now. If not, it'll be done by the time we make it to the bottom. So let's go ahead and do this, shall we? All right, let's do this. Spectra Surge. So for quick recap, Spectra Surge is an Icelandic hero named Einar Magnusson who has the fear of claustrophobia. Was given the ability to control energy beams and create force fields, and each of the villains have like invisibility and I forget the other part of their powers, and they all have the same powers but they have different MOs, personalities, and motives, so they use their powers differently than each other, which I think is a really cool aspect. So let's see what we get here. Eclipsed Radiance, the Surge Awakens. Sorry, just the idea of the Surge Awakens. I think it's a fun title. It's just as fun as the last one. It's just the idea of just reading, like imagine sitting there, right? Like you're sitting there, you're watching, you're about to put in a movie. Let's put on The Surge Awakens. You know, it's like it sounds so goofy. Does it not sound goofy? I think it sounds kind of goofy. So, I mean, It sounds goofy, right? Anyways. Synopsis. While Chrono Warden battles the temporal anomalies in Tokyo, another city becomes the stage for a cosmic spectacle. Reykjavik, Iceland, witnesses the emergence of a new hero, Spectra Surge. Simultaneously, a clandestine group of villains awakens to their own extraordinary abilities, setting the scene for a dazzling clash between light and darkness. Prologue. The movie begins with the radiant aftermath of the neutron star explosion, casting a celestial display over Reykjavik. Einar Magnusson, an astrophysicist plagued by claustrophobia, experiences an overwhelming surge of energy, bestowing upon him the power to control energy waves, and force fields. Spectre Surge's awakening. Einar, initially unaware of his newfound abilities, discovers his powers during a moment of panic and in a confined space. Faced with claustrophobic episode, he inadvertently releases a burst of energy, creating a protective force field around him. Villains' awakenings. Shadow Maven. A skilled illusionist and the master of stealth, discovers her power of invisibility and shadow manipulation during a high-stakes heist, becoming a ghostly presence in the criminal underworld. Sheesh, but Kronk voice. Are you requesting this? Alright. I've never done a sheesh with the Kronk voice. Sheesh. God, I hate my generation. Alright. Revelation Ringleader. A former investigative journalist uncovers the hidden truths. Also, how are you doing, Brian? Former investigative journalist also, we got Michael in chat too, so if you want to say hi to Michael. A former investigative journalist uncovers hidden truths, gaining the power to reveal and manipulate secrets, using deception as a means to an end. Hedrick of Northumberland? Hedrick of Northumberland? You are here. Thank you for being here. Hope you're doing well. Chaos Conjurer. A chaos theorist studying the aftermath of the neutron star explosion develops the power to manipulate chaotic energy, creating unpredictable and destructive phenomena. Uncle Mark. We got the whole family here today, don't we? How are you doing? Hope you're doing well. Control Freak. Meticulous strategist and the control enthusiast gain the power to manipulate and control technology, turning everyday gadgets into deadly weapons. That's not accurate to what was said earlier. Entering look mode. Bye. Oh, hey. Goodbye there, buddy. So, originally, all the villains in this group should have had the exact same powers. So, with the AI making these stories, things are going to unfortunately be either inconsistent or it's going to be a pain in the ass to keep everything straight. So, I'll let you guys kind of decide if that might be the community post for tomorrow. No, if we had the whole family, your mom and dad would be in chat as well as your mom, and siblings. Yeah, that's a lot. Michael, you never really met my mom's side of the family. What makes you think they're not? You see, you never met Brian and I's mom's side of the family, where it's like, we have, I don't know how many aunts, uncles, and cousins. And, like, between you and Megan, with Ann and Mark, like, it was pretty, like, your mom and my dad's side. Family's chat, 100 plus views, no cap. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. If Brian and I's full family was here, I would be partnered. Sup? How's it going? Yeah, if everyone was here in Brian and Mai's family. By the way, if anybody want to say hi to my brother, say hi to Lil XT. Lil XT is my brother. But I mean, yeah, if you're not here, You leave you alone? Alright. I was just saying say hi. Love you too. Anyway. So, yeah, that might be the community post for tomorrow or Friday, depending on when I get it out. It's probably going to be you guys choosing, and those of us who are not in chat, they'll probably be choosing whether we stay on ChatGPT for keeping things as consistent as possible, which would mean that there's going to be... Have you spoken on a microphone before speech? Before first speech? No, not first speech. But, I mean, I've streamed a ton and I make a lot of YouTube videos, so, I mean, effectively that's the same thing. It's just that the audience isn't physically there in front of you. Actually, I think I have used a microphone on a speech. Because I've performed live music, and in that I have used a microphone before, which means I'm technically using a microphone, you know, as public speaking. So I guess, yeah, I've done that. But anyways. Oh, thank you so much for all the subscriptions. Oh my gosh. Thanks for the gifting all the subs. I assume these are gifted subs. Thank you so much. Wow. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, Jesus. Okay. I wish I had something set. I didn't have anything set for that. Unfortunately. Thank you so much. So, anyways, thank you so much for the gifted subs. And so, possibly getting ready for a trip. You have my phone number. Oh, yeah, you're talking to Michael. So, yeah, I'll probably make a post. You guys mention here in chat whether or not you want to do keeping ChatGPT consistent, which is going to take more time, which means things are come out more slowly, or we revel in the chaos and let ChatGPT forget things and then see where the universe ends up, you know, from the beginning to the end. Because I know I've been saying I'm going to make summaries of this and put it to YouTube, make long form videos, like making a episode 0 about talking about who our characters are, making got a saltwater aquarium, now you just got 2 clownfish. I remember you talking about the clownfish. Who'd win, Darkseid or Doomsday? Darkseid wins. Let's be honest, what cinematic universe doesn't have plot holes? It's one thing to have plot holes, it's another thing to have entirely different characters. So what I'm looking at right here is for Control Freak. Control Freak's powers listed here is effectively that it's technological manipulation. Technonesis, so to speak. So effectively, in that sense, that is, like, originally each of these 5 villains were supposed to have the exact same power set, but they all have different motives, personality, and MOs that have them use their powers differently than one another. So that was the original plan. Control Freak has completely unique powers. It's one thing to have a plot hole, it's another thing to rewrite an entire character. So that's what I'm talking about, inconsistencies. I'm not talking like, you know, yeah, Royal Pain from oh my god, Sky High is such a good movie. So you can steal one item from any Marvel or DC character, any character from that matter, but they're going to come back and fight you for it. So if you take Iron Man's suit, for example, he will just build a better one and beat your ass. Take a suit back. What am I taking? What am I taking? You want to pick something that's powerful, that the character's not going to care if it's taken. Ben 10's Omnitrix, ain't no time you're going and taking that shit from me. You see, here's the thing about Ben 10's Omnitrix. I got that shit times 2. And these are vintage, baby. These are not reproductions of any kind. These are OGs. Batteries are dead as fuck, but I mean, they're here, right? Why would Darkseid beat Doomsday? Because Darkseid can kill Superman without ever doing anything, like without dying, but Doomsday has to die to kill Superman. And you have to, and if you base it off against who can kill Superman, then Darkseid wins. Because Superman is made to be the most tough character to beat in comics, and yet he is like the good old small town farm boy from Kansas. But that's a good thought, going back to the if I can steal one thing from any Marvel or DC character. But that's the thing, is that Omnitrixes are Cartoon Network. They're not Marvel or DC. So I can steal one thing from any Marvel or DC character, but whatever I steal, the original owner will come back and fight me for it. So I want to pick something that I did say, or any character for that matter. Okay, any character. When you said Marvel or DC, I thought strictly looking Marvel or DC. You're giving examples, yeah. Last time I was live was last week. I missed it. So last time I haven't streamed for a week because I've had a lot of family things come up, and I wanted to focus on being with my family rather than, putting time towards YouTube. I'll be perfectly honest, I'd rather be with my family because family is number one. So I was prioritizing being with my family rather than being on YouTube. Like, went out with my dad. Me and my dad got a couple of drinks. My mom had her birthday, so we went out and celebrated my mom's birthday. Ended up watching movies with my dad, and just got to hang out with my folks a lot. And so I prioritized being with my family over the last week or so. Got to hang out with Brian. Surprise, motherfucker. Honestly, I forget those are there. 20 cents well worth it. There it is. But I think they're also there for channel points, if I remember correctly. It's been a couple of years since I think anyone's redeemed those. What do you want a TTS on for 25 bits? Yeah, that's why I don't have TTS. Notice how I'm not wearing the headphones right now. I'm still trying to think, what would I take? Could I get Starfire from Nightwing? That's horrible. Trying to think. I got the reason I'm looking up here is I have my comics up here. I'm just looking at them, seeing if there's any inspiration here. So I know there's something that I want to pick up. I'm having trouble figuring out what the fuck it is. Now I'm gonna put you in a morgue if I do that. Nightwing's not gonna fucking kill me. Nightwing has a no-kill rule. I'm gonna get maimed to hell. But Starfire. The character will come and kill me. Or try to kill me. That's a tough one. Taking Wolverine's healing factor, does that count? Wouldn't he still have... No. It's not an item. It's not an item. if this is comics, I'm going comics here. Not MCU, I'm going comics. I'm taking the Infinity Gauntlet, because if I have the Infinity Gauntlet, there's nothing anyone can do about it. And I don't even have to snap. Snapping in the comics was just a visual. You don't have to snap. He doesn't have to close his fist to do anything in the comics to do anything with the Infinity Stones. So, that's what I'm taking. My hand's too big for it. But I'm taking a damn Infinity Gauntlet. That's what I'm taking. Fully functional Dragon Balls. Thank you for subbing for 3 months. A fully functional set of Dragon Balls. There you go. I'm going for the Infinity Gems myself. Or you can snap Thanos, then what? Die like Tony Stark? I'm going comic version. By the way, my hand's too big for this. It doesn't actually fit, so I unfortunately can't like mess with fingers. Because if I have the Infinity Gauntlet, then no one else has it. There's nothing else anyone can do about it. In the comics, it doesn't kill you. It doesn't maim you in the comics. That's how they dumbed it down. They nerfed the user of the Infinity Gauntlet in the movies. So, I'm taking a damn Infinity Gauntlet and controlling shit. I become a damn omnipotent god. Still cooked? How am I cooked? You effectively become God if you have one of these things. And side note, one of the coolest things about this toy or collectible, whatever you want to call it, is I can remove each of the Infinity Gems. Here's the Mind Stone, and it turns off. Kentucky Fried KFK, and you can put it back in, and it's gonna light back up, make sound. There's my Time Stone, by the way. Now it's fully powered. $120, well worth it. Not as cool as the lightsabers. Fair. Same. Wish one, give me a manifestation ability. All right. There's that. That's what I'm taking, is the Infinity Gauntlet, because you don't need skill to use an Infinity Gauntlet, you just need will. And it's not like willpower, like your level of willpower can, is how powerful you are. It's like, it's not like the Green Lanterns, it's just like, I just have to snap my fingers or just think it and it will be done. You need a base set Shadowless Charizard in there, PSA 10? Maybe. I got some cool shit in there. Wish it was a little closer to the camera so it could be shown off a little bit better, but it is what it is. For the layout of the room, it wasn't going to work out very well, because I was either going to cover up partially of the window or it was going to cover up the posters, and I chose to cover up the window. So, Wish 2 destroyed the Jack. Wish 1 give manifestation ability. Wish 2 destroy the Dragon Balls. Was there music rooms at your school? Yes. Because does it physically say it? I don't think it physically says it, but that's my degree for music composition. So, I mean, yeah, had a lot. Good luck. Cheapest PSA 10 Shadowless first edition Charizard is about $250,000. Yeah, I'm not gonna try. I'm not gonna try to get that card unless it just happens upon me, which it will never ever. And the gauntlet just powered off. Yeah, so it's just not gonna happen. Base said someone said of 3,500. Were the microphone in your music rooms? Were there microphones in the music rooms at my school? No, there were not microphones. There weren't a lot of microphones for singers. There was a couple, but no. Sorry about being so late. Day has been full today and haven't been able to make it till just now. That's perfectly fine. You want the powers of Q? Powers of Q. I don't know why I'm blanking on Q. Like, when you say Q, my brain goes to James Bond. I don't know why I'm thinking of James Bond, but I'm thinking of James Bond. So you have to remind me on that one. Oh, Star Trek. Oh, yeah, Q. Like, yeah. Now, okay. I wasn't the biggest Trekkie. I've watched a lot of Star Trek. I'm not the biggest Trekkie, so it's like I had to take a minute to think of Q. Yeah, I that's a good one right there. But then Q's coming after you for the powers, you know? Yeah, Q's coming after you, so yeah, keep that in mind too. That's the thing. You want to pick something powerful. You want to pick something powerful that you can defend, and you're confident you can defend against somebody who's used to having that thing. It's like wasn't Q James Bond? Same character name, different character. There is a Q in James Bond. He was going to give them the Riker. Oh, really? I need to rewatch Next Generation is what I need to do. But yeah, Q is also James Bond. Q in James Bond is the guy who gives Bond all his like secret gadgets and things like that. But anyway, orders Bane, a disgraced former government operative fueled by a desire to disrupt order, gains the power to induce chaos in systems and institutions. Darkseid defeated Thanos with the Gauntlet in Death Battle. Darkseid defeated Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet? Is this a crossover where Darkseid fought Thanos? I don't know that ever happened. I'm not shocked if it did. I just didn't know it did. Spectre Surge, the Surge and the Shadows. Spectre Surge embraces this role as a hero, using his powers to protect Reykjavik. Unbeknownst to him, the villains, guided by mysterious motives, emerge casting shadows over the city. The illusion of shadows. Shadow Maven uses her powers to infiltrate and manipulate, framing Spectre Surge for crimes he didn't commit. The city turns against the hero, amplifying Einar's claustrophobic fears as the walls seem to close in on him. The Unveiling. As Spectre Surge battles the illusions, he discovers the true nature of the villains and their unique abilities. Each encounter reveals a layer of the grand plan orchestrated by an unforeseen force. Revelation and Chaos. Revelation Ringleader. Okay, that is a character. Okay, I was going to say, who the hell? Exposes hidden truths, causing a citywide uproar. Chaos Conjurer manipulates the environment, creating havoc. Control Freak disrupts technology, plunging the city into darkness, and Orders Bane exploits societal fractures, escalating tensions. The Ultimate Confrontation. Spectre Surge, fueled by the desire to dispel the shadows, confronts each villain individually. Facing their unique abilities, the battles escalate in scale and complexity. Unraveling the Conspiracy. As the conflicts unfold, Spectre Surge uncovers the mastermind behind the villainous alliance, a mysterious entity manipulating chaos itself, orchestrating events from the shadows. The Balance Restored. Spectre Surge, driven by the strength of his character and determination, counters the chaos-infused powers. The villains, realizing the manipulations, turn against the unforeseen force, severing the connection. Aftermath. Reykjavik, now free from the clutches of chaos, begins to heal. Spectre Surge, as a true hero, reflects on the challenges faced and the unity needed to protect the world from unforeseen threats. End credit scene! In the darkness, Chaos observes the aftermath, plotting its next move, setting the stage for future conflicts. Okay. Okay. Thanks for the bits. Nice. Eclipse Radiance, the Surge awakens, illuminates the cosmic struggles between light and shadow, exploring the depths of fear, discovery, and resilience of the human spirit. The movie unfolds concurrently with Chrono Warden's narrative, showcasing simultaneous challenges faced by heroes in different corners of the universe. Bum, bum, bum. See if anyone gets this reference. Fossils. Dun dun dun. Fossils. Dun dun dun. Nice. Thank you. Nice hiss. Let's get out of this onto a tray. Nice. Okay, to start off, we have delicious sea ration peanut butter. I don't know if that's a reference to anything, but if you know, you know. Let's get this out onto a tray. Nice. Okay, to start, we have a delicious. I'm missing out then. Steve 1989 MRE info. Okay. I don't watch MRE content on YouTube. You and I both know that MREs are not that good. Anyways, let's get the next movie going. I don't want claustrophobia. What I want is got like 2 million sub ration reviewer, super wholesome, super fun. Has eaten hardtack from. Gross. Couldn't imagine eating food from that long ago. So here we go. Let's make the next move about Phoenix Guardian. Is the next one. And his group of villains. Phoenix Guardian is a she, if I remember correctly, right? Is Phoenix Guardian a she? He's had beef and stew. Ooh. Nope. Yep. So, yeah, Phoenix Guardian is a she, and then Arrow Sylph is also a she, and I don't remember what Sonic Oracle is. Do I have a Wii? No, I do not have a Wii. Nope, do not. And her group of villains. I want an extremely detailed synopsis of the movie going over how Phoenix Guardian and each of the villains discover and develop their newfound abilities while keeping to all of the newest info and each and every one of them, such as Phoenix Guardians, what was the original fear for Phoenix Guardian? Fear of fire. Fear of claustrophobia. Fear of tight spaces. Tight spaces fear. Do I have a Wii U? No. I have 3DSs and a Switch. That's my only Nintendo products. And a Game Boy Color. Fear of fire. And facing off against each of the villains. No major character deaths. Thank you for the follow, Peppermint Pirate. Thank you so much. How are you doing today? Don't forget the movie title, and let's have this movie take place at the same time in the universe as Chrono Warden's movie, though the plots don't connect to each other. Chrono Warden movie. Chrono Wardens and Spectra Surge's movies. Though the plots don't connect to each other. Let's do it! Wii or Wii U, what's better? Wii. Sorry, was that fast? So, Wii's better. So. Sorry, when I think of a Wii, I think of having, like, the actual, like, stick and nunchuck. I don't think of having a tablet for a controller. Here we go, movie number 3. Inferno Nexus, Rise of the Phoenix. Synopsis. As Chrono Warden faces the temporal challenges in Tokyo and Spectra Surges battles the shadows in Reykjavik, the city of Cairo becomes a crucible for both chaos and rebirth. A new hero, Amina Farouk, rises as Phoenix Guardian. Gifted with pyrokinetic abilities, simultaneously a group of formidable villains awaken, drawn together by mysterious forces, setting the stage for a fiery clash between good and evil. Prologue. The radiant aftermath of the neutron star explosion casts its glow over Cairo. Amina Farouk, an archaeologist haunted by the fear of fire, experiences an intense surge of energy, unlocking the power to control flames and manipulate heat. Phoenix Guardian's ignition. I love the wordplay with this. Ignition. Duh. Anyway. Amina discovers her abilities during an archaeological expedition. Triggered by a collapsing tunnel, instead of succumbing to her fear of fire, she harnesses her newfound power to protect herself and her team. Villains Awakenings. The Frost Monarch. An ice climatologist accidentally gains the ability to control ice and cold during an expedition to the Arctic, setting the stage for an icy vendetta against Phoenix Guardian. Terrablaze. A geologist in search of rare minerals unlocks the power to control earth and stone, using these abilities to shape the terrain for personal gain. Aqua Scorch. An oceanographer studying the effects of the neutron star on marine life gains control over water, transforming into a formidable adversary with mastery over aquatic forces. Zephyr Crystal. A meteorologist studying atmospheric anomalies develops the power to manipulate wind and air currents, becoming a swift and elusive antagonist. And finally, the Flora Inferno. A botanist exposed to the neutron star's energy discovers the ability to control and manipulate plant life, orchestrating a natural uprising against Phoenix Guardian. For those of you who might be wondering, why do all the villains weirdly have fire-related terms in their names? In case you're asking yourself this question, which I'm sure a couple of you are, or at least one of you, the answer is because when the characters were first written a couple weeks ago, we essentially tried to create all 30 characters, or now we have 31 characters, but we tried to create all 30 characters effectively at the exact same time, and ChatGPT was overloaded. It never said it was, but it was. And so what ended up happening is it created us 5 unique heroes, and those heroes have never really been altered too much outside of what we had originally stated. We'd only really built up from them. But for the villains, we effectively had to fundamentally change all the villains. That became the rest of that stream, and the entirety of last week's stream was effectively figuring out who the fuck our characters are because of this problem. I had spent 4 commands alone, 3 or 4 commands, trying to get the fire names out of these characters because they were all originally all fire-based characters. Every character in this movie would have all had the ability to control fire, and that just is not as interesting. So we were thinking of different things. We're like, what is related to fire that isn't fire? So all the villains have different powers in this group, but they're all sort of the same. And we're like, oh, Avatar. Let's look at Avatar. We have firebenders. Well, we have a waterbender. We have airbenders. We have earthbenders. Great. What are the subbending? You have healers. You have lightning, ice. You have all these other sub-bendings, lava even. So we're like, okay, let's use the other 3, and then it came up with other, let's just say elements. And it came up with wind, air, water, and fire, or air, water, earth. And then also came up with fauna, and then we had the idea for, I think it was it lightning? So we have ice here. Ice. That was the 5th one we chose, was ice. So it's ice, kind of wind and lightning, fauna, so plant life, water, and earth. So all of our villains are different benders, if you will. So this is our little hint of Avatar in this. The Flames of Cairo. As Phoenix Guardian embraces her role as a hero, each villain discovers their powers independently. Drawn to Cairo by an unforeseen force, Amina, fueled by her fear, transforms the flames into a symbol of protection. Clash of Elements. Frost Monarch freezes the streets of Cairo, challenging Phoenix Guardian's control over heat. Terra Blaze shapes the earth to disrupt the city's stability. Aqua Scorch floods the streets, creating chaos. Zephyr Crystal uses winds to evade capture, and Flora Inferno orchestrates a botanical uprising. Phoenix Unleashed. Phoenix Guardian, facing her fear head-on, confronts each villain individually, learning to control her pyrokinetic abilities with finesse. The battles unfold across iconic Cairo landmarks, the clash of elements painting the city in its surreal display of power. The Unforeseen Force. As conflicts intensify, Phoenix Guardian uncovers the existence of chaos, the unforeseen force guiding the villains. Amina realizes that the villains were mere pawns in a larger cosmic game. Redemption and unity. Driven by a desire to protect Cairo, Phoenix Guardian offers redemption to the villains. As they turn against chaos, the combined elemental forces become a united front against the unforeseen adversary. In the aftermath, Cairo, now free from elemental turmoil, witnesses the unity between Phoenix Guardian and the redeemed villains. Amina reflects on her journey and the strength found facing her fears. The thing is I don't know if I like how they're facing off against chaos right away. You know, like they're facing off against chaos in cases like prepping things in the background. It's like, really? Like, are we gonna do like a Thanos situation where it's like we're gonna have phase level villains and then saga level villains? Like a phase level villain in Marvel was Loki, Ultron, then Thanos was the saga ending villain. You know, are we gonna do phase level villains and then saga level villains? I don't know. We'll see here, but it looks like we're gonna do like one saga, because this is like phase 1. So we'll see what happens here. Maybe phase 1 ends up just going up against chaos and we just discover more villains as time goes on. We realize peace is never going to be truly attainable with, you know, super beings in the world. So what our phase 2 or phase 3 would be after they defeat chaos would probably be facing off against maybe death and other cosmic entities or other big characters that are created through comic book bullshit. You know, we'll see. End credit scene. Chaos, observing the events, acknowledges the setbacks and adjusts its plans, setting the stage for the next phase of its cosmic scheme. Inferno Nexus: Rise of the Phoenix ignites the screen with elemental battles, showcasing the hero's journey of overcoming fears and redemptive power of unity. The movie unfolds concurrently with the narratives of Chrono Warden and Spectre Surge, offering a diverse tapestry of challenges faced by heroes in different corners of the universe. So, let's do the next movie. And the next movie we're going to have based off Aerosylph. I want an extremely detailed synopsis of the movie going over how Aerosylph and each of the villains discover and develop their newfound abilities while keeping... Do you know, Kevin, in LEGO Marvel Superheroes you get a whole city? Yes, I did know that. Develop their newfound abilities while keeping to all of the newest info about each and every one of them, such as Aerosylphs, fear of heights, or acrophobia, and facing off against each of the villains. Also, no major character deaths. Don't forget the movie title. The movie takes place at the same time as Chrono Wardens, Spectra, Surges, and Phoenix Guardians movies, though the plots don't connect to each other. And movie number 4. Here it is. So, we'll let that kind of run here. And let's go and read on, shall we? Sorry if you hear a lot of heavy footsteps, by the way. Title: The Skyward Symphony. Wings of Destiny. What? Nice dramatic title. Skyward Symphony, Wings of Destiny. In the skies above Rio de Janeiro, a new hero emerges as Isabella Silva transforms into Aerosylph, granted the power to manipulate air currents and soar through the skies. Simultaneously, a group of formidable villains awaken, each discovering their unique abilities. As Chrono Ward and Spectre Surge and Phoenix Guardian face their own challenges, Rio becomes the battleground for a breathtaking clash between the forces of the air and those who seek to control it. Prologue. The neutron star's energy cascades over Rio de Janeiro, painting the city with ethereal hues. Isabella Silva is a skilled environmental scientist with a fear of heights, is caught in the radiant waves, unlocking the power to manipulate air currents and take flight. Isabella, initially unaware of her newfound abilities, discovers her power during a near-fatal fall. Fueled by her fear of heights, she instinctively manipulates the air to slow her descents, realizing her potential to soar above the city. The villain's awakening. Skyscraper Serpent, a brilliant engineer while constructing Rio's tallest skyscraper, gains the power to meld and control structures, using them as extensions of himself. Okay, so originally the idea was to have all these villains be technologically based, so it sounds like they're like techno-kinetic. So they have the power of like controlling technology, similar to things of like Cyborg or Dr. Manhattan uses this power a lot in Watchmen, where he like controls watches and things like that. So basically it's like telekinesis, but it's for technology. I'm gonna move these labels here in the bottom right hand corner just a little bit, because it looks like that's just a little bit off. There we go. So these characters are likely going to change from being non-powered, technologically based characters rather than being superpowered. So it looks like these characters are, some if not all these characters are going to be superpowered now. Aeronaut Anarchist, a former pilot with a vendetta against the aviation industry, gains the power to disrupt and manipulate air travel, creating turbulence and chaos. Weird, but okay. Gale Guardian. Weird that a villain has the word guardian in the name. Gale Guardian, a disgraced meteorologist exposed to the neutron star's energy, gains control over localized weather patterns, becoming a force of destructive storms. Helix Hijacker, a rogue that word I can't say for some reason. Technologist gains the ability to manipulate electronic signals and communication, using them to confuse and control information. And then Nimbus Nomad, a paragliding enthusiast, gains the power to transform into a living cloud, granting him the ability to traverse the skies undetected. I think our villains changed. We put some work into coming up with our villains being like working in skyscrapers, one of which owns a airline, the other which is a balloon, like a hot air balloon, and I think it scrapped all those ideas. So we'll figure this out later if we want to like really like dig into ChatGPT and have it like fix all this stuff. Rio in turmoil. Aerosylph embraces her role as a hero, soaring above Rio to maintain balance. Unbeknownst to her, the villains, drawn by their newfound abilities, converge on the city, each with their own unique motives. Skyward Skirmishes. Aerosylph faces off against each villain individually, challenging her control over air currents. Skyscraper Servant manipulates the city's structures, Aeronaut Anarchist disrupts the skies, Gale Guardian controls storms, Helix Hijacker controls information, and Nimbus Nomad becomes an elusive foe in the clouds. I'll admit this is probably the weakest movie so far. But that's still saying a lot, because this still sounds pretty fun. Unforeseen manipulation. As the battle unfolds, Aerosylph realizes that the villains are connected by an unforeseen force, chaos. The cosmic entity influences their motives, orchestrating a symphony of chaos in the skies. Symphony's crescendo. I like the music references. And it's like almost like it knows that I'm a musician. Got a feeling that ChatGPT knows too much. Aerosylph understanding. Alright, and then Rio reclaimed. As Chaos retreats, defeated by the combined efforts of Aerosylph and the villains, Rio begins to recover from the turbulence. Isabella reflects on her journey, finding strength in overcoming her fear of heights. And credit scene. Chaos adapting to the setbacks adjusts its plans, setting the stage for the next phase of its cosmic scheme. Here's one thought. Technically all this is happening at the same time, so like Chaos is like, when you think about it, it's like, yeah, we're seeing it like 5 times in a row, it's kind of annoying. But in universe, this happens once. Like, everyone kind of gets their own piece of chaos and defeats the one piece of chaos. And then you're going to have everyone go up against this just chaos. Like, are all the 5 heroes going to team up and just take on chaos? Skyward Symphony, Wings of Destiny soars to new heights, exploring the delicate balance of the skies and power found in unity against unforeseen manipulations. The movie unfolds concurrently with the narratives of Chrono Ward, Inspector Surge, and Phoenix Guardian, offering a diverse tapestry of challenges faced by the heroes in different corners of the universe. Fantastic! Let's do at least one more command for one more movie, and this would be for Psionic Oracle. So, Psionic Oracle. I want an extremely detailed synopsis of the movie going over how Psionic Oracle and each of the villains discovered involved in nearby abilities. What can the news to know about each of the villains? Psionic Oracle's fear. What was Psionic Oracle's fear? Fear of the unknown. Okay. The unknown, and facing off against each of the villains. Also, no major character deaths. Don't forget the movie title. Let's have this movie take place in the same universe, at the same time in universe as Chrono Wardens, as I'll just say all the other movies, rather than type all that out. Though the plots don't connect to each other. Last movie. Let's see what we get. So, Mind's Eclipse, Chronicles of the Oracle. In the bustling cities of New York City, a new hero emerges as Alex Reed transforms into Psionic Oracle. Granted extraordinary telepathic and telekinetic abilities, simultaneously a group of formidable villains awakens, each discovering their unique mental powers. As Chrono Ward, Inspector Surge, Phoenix Guardian, and Aerosylph face their own challenges, the city becomes a battleground for a cerebral clash between those who control the mind and those who seek to unravel its mysteries. Prologue. The cosmic energies of the neutron star explosion cascade over New York City. Alex Reed, a neuroscientist with a fear of the unknown, is caught in the radiant waves, unlocking the power to delve into minds and manipulate thoughts. Psionic Oracle's revelation. Alex, initially bewildered by his newfound abilities, discovers his powers during a subway commute. Overwhelmed by the minds around him, he inadvertently reads the thoughts of fellow passengers, unraveling a tapestry of emotions and secrets. The villain's awakening. Intellectual Inquisitor, a brilliant scholar, gains the ability to delve into the knowledge of others, extracting information and using it for personal gain. By extracting, is he copy pasting information from other people's brains into his, or is he cut and pasting? Is he deleting the information from their minds, or is he just copying it? Because that'd be dangerous if he could delete it and just take over like that. That's scary. Emotion Emissary. A former psychologist gains the power to manipulate and amplify emotions, using them as tools for persuasion and control. Strategic savants. A master tactician gains the ability to see multiple outcomes of a situation, choosing the most advantageous path for personal success. Psychic phantom. An illusionist discovers the power to manipulate perception, creating realistic and immersive mental illusions to confuse and deceive. And 5, cognitive catalyst. A chemist exposed to the neutron star's energy develops the power to influence and alter brain chemistry, affecting moods and decision-making. The psychic nexus. Psionic oracle grappling with the cacophony of thoughts in the city realizes the existence of the villains. Each awakening to their own mental powers, the villains, drawn by an unforeseen force, chaos, converge on New York, each with motives shaped by their abilities. Telepathic turmoil. Psionic oracle faces off against each villain individually, challenging his own control over telepathic abilities. Intellectual inquisitor seeks hidden knowledge. Emotion emissary manipulates feelings. Strategic savant outmaneuvers. Psychic phantom creates illusions, and cognitive catalyst alters perception. Unforeseen manipulation. As the battles unfold, Psionic oracle uncovers the influence of chaos, the unforeseen force guiding the villains. The cosmic entity shapes their motives, orchestrating a cerebral symphony of chaos in the minds of New Yorkers. The Oracle's Gambit. Psionic oracle, understanding the interconnected nature of the villains, works to unite them against chaos. The villains, realizing the manipulation, turn against the unseen force, combining their mental powers for a final confrontation. Minds restored. As chaos retreats, defeated by the combined efforts from Psionic oracle and the villains, New York begins to recover from the mental turbulence. Alex reflects on his journey, finding strength in facing the unknown. End credit scene. Chaos adapting the setbacks, the justice plan, setting stage for the next cosmic scheme. That's pretty cut and paste, But Minds Eclipsed. Chronicles of the Oracle delves into the intricacies of the mind, exploring the powers and vulnerabilities of mental abilities. The movie unfolds concurrently with the narratives of Chrono Ward, Inspector Surge, Phoenix Guardian, and Arrow Sylph, offering a diverse tapestry of challenges faced by heroes in different corners of the universe. So, I think we'll end here. We have our 5 movies in order. It's a lot of information here. We have Temporal Nexus, Echoes of Destiny, which is Chrono Warden's movie. We have Eclipsed Radiance, The Surge Awakens, Spectra Surge's movie. We have Inferno Nexus, Rise of the Phoenix, Phoenix Guardians movie. We have Skyward Symphony, Wings of Destiny, Arrow Sylph's movie. And finally, we have Minds Eclipse, Chronicles of the Oracle, Psionic Oracle's movie. Each of our 5 main heroes have now gotten their first movie. We had a total of 6 commands used today. We've been going for just over 2 hours. You know what? I talk a lot today. I talked a lot today. I was talking for probably 2.5 hours at my personal job, plus normal day, then stream for another 2 hours. My mouth has been running a lot, and I am beat, guys. I'm really beat. So, I think we're just gonna embrace the chaos when it comes to ChatGPT and the craziness that ChatGPT has when it comes to it not remembering things. I think it's just gonna make fun, just kind of see where it ends up anyway. So I think the next question that I'm gonna post tomorrow morning is going to be what should the first team up movie, who should be the villain of the first team up movie, because I don't know if it should be like, should it just be all the original villains, like all 25 villains going up against the 5 heroes? Like, do we just immediately go for that? Because it's like, that seems like a lot. Like, we have 26 villains if you count Chaos, and 5 heroes. So I'll leave that up to you guys. You'll have the week to vote. It's going to be up on the channel. If you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, I highly ask that you do so. It's right. There it is, right down there. there's your little CTA right there. But anyways, that all being said, it's going to be in the community posts. It's going to be a poll tomorrow, if not Friday. Depending on if I remember to do it in the morning. I'm tired. I need to get to bed. And yeah. I don't know if I'm going to stream this weekend. I have a concert, so don't know if I'm going to get to a lot of streaming this weekend. So there's that. Next long form video has already been shot. The thumbnail has been made, but the video still needs to be edited. So I'll get that done when I get it done. Just know that the next long form video, it is not going to be the summary of these live streams. I know I've said I'm going to do that. I will do that, but that's going to take some time. So the next long form video has been shot, and the thumbnail has been made, but I still need to edit the video. That all being said, I think that's going to do it for tonight's stream. This was a lot of fun. These movies are pretty fun. They get a little repetitive, but again, it's ChatGPT. What are you going to do? So thank you all for watching. Thank you so much to everybody who came in and interacted and said hi, and all the subs that were purchased today, and all the bits and all that stuff. Great to see everybody. You all have a great night and a very, very lovely rest of your week. See you when I see you.